blew my mind. When I worked this out, I blew my own mind. For those of you who follow me on my art channel, and by the way, hi, I'm Autumn. If you follow me on my art channel, then this might be new to you. But in the planner community, I think it's absolutely normal to planner hop, to change planners, to go back to systems, have new systems, and drive ourselves a little bit loopy, finding what works. For me, my personal sort of challenges are that I'm not really inherently a planner. I am innately a journaler, so I'm a reflective journaler. I'm a memory keeper rather than a planner head sort of person. I've always sort of done life by the seat of my pants and somehow somehow got on okay. And I'm finding that I would like a little bit more planning, not a whole lot of planning. I don't want to plan my days inside and out in great detail, but things like my work, which is my online sort of business, my art business. I teach courses online, and social media then becomes part of that. So posting and videos and classes and project does tend to get a lot. Okay, so I just want to talk to you about what has and hasn't worked and what I'm working out for myself. So let me just jump in and tell you what I sort of tried with planning. I can't really remember the first thing I tried with planning other than my digital calendar, which I still use, and I will mention that later. I tend to just use spiral notebooks and roughly write things down. So then I came across Hobonichi and Hobonichi Week. So I was using Hobonichi Original for dailies, so that's just memory keeping again. I also using Stalogy for memory keeping, Stalogy for journaling. So lots of journaling type of journals that I have, a lot of reflective type of journals. I'm already, a Tomoe River paper girl, so I'm already a, Autumnichi. I'm a Hobonichi girl. I love the Stalogy as well though, but I love the paper. One of the easy mistakes that I made, so a few of the things that I found out that haven't worked for me, and one of them is easy, and that is decoration. I'm a decorator girl. I know some people say, oh, I see comments on YouTube videos of people who do really, really super functional, simple planners, and there's comments like, oh, about time, to see a plain, functional calendar with all this, I don't think they say silliness, but they sort of dismiss the decorating as if it's something we just do for social media. If you're an arty person, if you're a creative person, if you're a visual person, if you like having fun with stickers, this isn't for social media, or at least not for me and not for a lot of us. I know there is some part of that, but it's because we love it. We love it, and loving it, loving your planner, loving your journal is what brings you back to it. It's what helps you to use it. However, for something that is functional, I mean, I love these pages. Look at them. They're so cute. They are so fun. Absolutely worthless in functionality. And I do mean that. I do mean worthless in functionality in the way they are at the moment. So that's fine. You can say, well, Autumn, stop decorating. I know it's not fun, but if you really need this to be functional, then stop decorating. No problem. I can do that. Not fun, but I can do that. And there is also a way around it as well. So that's fine. I can get rid of the decorating and make it more functional. It still wasn't functional for me. It still wasn't working. So, okay, so I was using the right-hand side for my social media, and then this side for just general things to do when I wanted to do them. And then I had a to-do list of some, I guess you could say almost like a priorities to-do list. So these are the things that I need to do this week. This is fine. These are things I can tick off, or in this case, dot off. We all understand a basic to-do list. We all understand how you have a task or an item and you tick it off, mark it off. Simple. Not that helpful. Like in a basic way, it's okay. It's not like it wasn't completely unhelpful. Like it kept in my mind my priorities. Like I understand the idea of having the priorities. I never did much with them before because sometimes the priorities were so big. And they would have things like the top 3 priorities, which sounds good and probably works fantastic for a lot of people. So it's very idiosyncratic how a planner works for you. How it works for you, it's completely different for how it works for me, and vice versa. Having top 3 priorities can be really great if you get overwhelmed. If you're ADHD, fantastic. You have 3, that's it. You could even just whittle it down to 1. But what happened for me was that those 3 were so big that I couldn't forget them. That sort of writing them down in priorities was just a step that I didn't need to take. That's sort of my attitude with planning. A lot of it I feel like, why do I need to write this down when I know that I've got to get this done, or I'm going to do it, or my days are so flexible that it doesn't matter too much when I do them. So that was not something that was really sinking in for me. It just kept not working. So a lot of things with planners have been that way. They just keep on not working, and I haven't really zeroed in what it is. And in large part, that was because I didn't research it or sit down to really think, how does my brain work? And what do I really, really need to know and have jot down? I see a lot of people who track all sorts of things, and sometimes for no reason other than to track something, maybe for social media purposes, maybe for themselves because they want to fill out their planner, maybe for they feel they should do it. I don't know, but they often say themselves. So I'm not judging. I'm saying this is what they say themselves, that they do this, but they don't know why, and sooner or later, they get bored of doing it, or it becomes a chore because you're not really sure why you're doing it. So I know it sounds sort of obvious, but it sort of isn't when it comes to details. Until we think of them, they're obvious afterwards in hindsight. But I never really sat down and think, what exactly do I need? Like, exactly do I need from my planner, and exactly how do I use my planner? What do I need from it? What do I use from it? And how do I use it? And how does my brain work visually? They're sort of my 3 sort of focuses that I've been having the last few days. So the to-do list, not that great, sort of useful, okay, roughly okay, but not that big a deal. Decoration, okay, easy, I can let that go, that's not quite working. A planner that's vertical going down like this, I think the way that I was using it was not what was not working. So going down like this, that's okay, but I'll show you this one and how the vertical. So the format, the structure of your week really, really matters to some of us. And that's how your brain reads. That's how I'm going to term it, how your brain reads. And we all in the Western world read left to right. And of course, if you're from Japan, you read a different way, and other countries and so on. But here, I read left to right. So our brains are wired to notice left to right. In general, some people, they flick a page and the first thing they see is here anyway. So there you go. That's all those things like that. What do you see? What do you see when you flick a page? Where do you want to see? How do you read? Do you read down that way? Do you prefer reading that way? That sort of going down wasn't working for me. But as I mentioned, I think it was because what I was writing down and how I was writing it, and a lot more that I need to do, which I'm going to come back to. So that wasn't working for me. It also didn't help that I was on a design team. That did not help. It was super fun, and I got some free stickers, and that's all great. But you have to produce every week. You have to, obviously, you're not going to get things for free. You're there to help and promote another small business, which I love to do. But it takes time to do that. And next thing you know, or at least for me, I find I'm doing a weekly spread for the design team rather than some functionality for myself. Kudos to those that are able to do both, who are just doing their thing, it's working for them, and are able to use the stickers and produce these photos, these spreads. I'm envious of that because I just couldn't do it. I found it a whole lot of pressure. And there are weeks, where you haven't got to your planner properly, and yeah, it's not finished. Okay. So, I can get rid of that, be able to say no, be able to say, I can't do this, and it's okay. Be able to say no to decoration, okay, I can do that. But the actual planning still needs work. Look at these beautiful to-do lists. Getting it done, like done, 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 done. Great, fantastic. But not that big a deal. Like things like dentist, that's in my digital calendar. I don't really need to have it like this. Like that, this isn't really helping me so much. Okay, we'll get to that. Come back to that. So then I saw happy planners and I thought, oh, rings. I can go back to rings. I've had like binder type journals before. So, and I don't like binders. I like flat lays, stitch bound, glued type journals. But these are pretty, and also a big part of planners is that there's so much that I don't want. Whether it's at this point, I just wasn't really using these extras. These are just so many extra pages in the Hobo weeks that I just wasn't using. The backs I tend to use for pens, for swatching. So fantastic. Yeah, I always have that just to have as a quick reference. But then all these empty pages that I don't really use. I don't really use the months. I did do one here, fantastic one for Scrat's diary. I love doing that. Wasn't getting to them anyway. This one isn't too bad, Hobo Weeks, which is a great thing about it. But a lot of planners have pages that I don't use. And I thought, well, a ring, you customize it. Oh, customizing is fantastic. I thought I found the answer. Customize it. I can put exactly what I need, exact pages. I can take out what I don't need. I've already removed pages from this one. I did give it another go to try for astrology journaling. I was trying to revive this to make some use of it because I felt so bad having bought all this and not using it. Okay, and I'll show you the page spread or pages that I ripped out, and I'll tell you why this didn't work. So this is another layout. This is, I think it's called dashboard. So this layout, this section here for planning, fantastic for my brain. This works. This has tasks, a really long list of tasks. Great. You've got your important section. You've got looking ahead, which I was never quite sure what to do with, in a note section, but this is okay. This was absolutely useless to me. So my brain very, very quickly, although I did put down, say when I had to post on social media, I very quickly started journaling. Like there's something about this layout that is like a storyboard. Like it's just journaling to me. My brain sees journaling. However, as I said, I just start journaling. So this is what happened. Again, too busy, too much decoration. I love it. I love the way it looks. Really happy with this page. But for planning, I can't see what's going on. And it didn't matter anyway, because this was all journaling. I had a bad night's sleep, despite taking some magnesium, be popped over. My painter came round. I had to take I did put here errands, like take the curtains down because the painter's coming. I'm not going to go back to that. This just looks all together and happy and lovely, but not functional. I managed to use this little area here, or I say managed, I gave it a shot to use it for when to post where. So I have 4 or 5 different Instagram accounts for different projects and things, like some of it for my members, 3 of them are for myself. Put there where I had to post. So that's okay, that's all right. I've got here some in the to-do section, a bit more basic tasks. Again, some of them like core dentists, I've got that in my digital diary because I need an alert for that. I need my notification. If you're a person that forgets, if you're a person that is super busy, if you're a person with ADHD, alerts are a lifesaver. Even some people just go to their paper journals daily, hourly, all the time, and they're on it. I can't do that. I will forget to look sometimes. I will look sometimes and not other times. I will look when I'm thinking of something possibly, but I could easily just get up and carry on with my day with something that needs doing. Usually the cat gets me up and I need to feed my cat cookie and that's it. I'm away from my planner. But even if I'm diligent and or happen to be in my planner and see what I need to do for the day, if core dentist is like not a specific time and I'm doing something else first, I'm going to forget. But my app are going, call the thing. I'm like, oh, okay, right, I've got to do it. So for me, as much as I'm a paper girl, as much as I love my paper and pens and markers and stickers and all of that, unfortunately, because it's so boring and so aesthetically unpleasing to me, but it functions, it works. It's my digital calendar, which I think is just a Google calendar. The main thing is the alert. So my appointments are there. So things like that, like call dentist, it's just really not that important to put here, make a Tesco order. It just isn't that important. I actually was getting quite, I wouldn't say quite good, but I think I was getting here unconsciously better at writing some tasks, like breaking tasks down, but I wasn't quite there, I don't think, fully. And for the rest of the system in general, it wasn't really working. This wasn't quite enough yet. I was tracking a few habits for the sake of tracking habits, and again, it just takes time to do, and it isn't really helping me. Like, if the tracking has a real function for you and you're using it, like planners in general, then that's great. If it makes me drink more water, then that's great. I'm only tracking one thing at the moment, and that's my supplements. It helps me know what to take and what I have taken to see if there's any difference in my digestion or in my sleep or things like that. So if it has an effect afterwards, what you do, and it's good to look back on a tracker to see. So a tracker is forward and backwards. So forwards as in making sure you're doing it, and then backwards as in, oh, to make sure that it has been done, or how has it been done and how has it impacted on you. So knowing that this was a day you exercised and drank a lot of water and you slept better, that could be something that is really worth noting. I mean, it was all fun and lovely to put down, but as I said, for actual functionality, this was a disaster. Like, by my second spread, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm just journaling. Like, I'm just journaling. Other than this was here. This is sort of the gold that sort of I need to pick out, but I hadn't quite realised I was there yet. But the rest was sort of pointless, or, I mean, yes, I put a big thing that I needed to do here, but this was so big, as I was saying before about those 3 priorities, this was so big that I knew I had to do this. Like, I don't even need to have that there. So big priorities aren't that big a deal. So yeah, it just became journaling. Functionality out the window. But I'm onto something here. I'm onto a bit of something. This sort of format might work for your mind, but you can see how it goes as far as really efficiently seeing how your week is progressing. If that's what you need, that really what to do on those days and tasks. For me, this doesn't work. It's not how my brain works. Much better to have something that I can see in a very linear way, nice and clear. The week is progressing. So, one, journaling because of the dashboard structure, and secondly, because of how large it was. I just didn't need all this. This was doing a good amount of the task and that sort of organization. But this bit here it's just too big for actual what do I need to do on each day. So this is where there is beauty everywhere. So this is where this little beauty came along. I came across this one. I think it's discontinued now, but I managed to find it because I knew that I needed colour. I knew that it was too bland, which some of these can be, these sort of designs. I know it's very popular in the happy planner world, these sort of very simplistic, sophisticated sort of design. I go for a little bit more colour and cuteness or happiness or something, I don't know. But I found this one and it motivates me to use it. I want to use it. That's important. So that's what I was saying. If you're a visual person, these things are not a small part of planning at all. They matter. This makes me want to use it. Okay, so let's look at this format. So I thought, okay, I got smaller. This feels good. I don't carry it with me. I don't take my planners out anywhere, but it's nice and small. It's near me. I can open it up and it's all there. So unlike the other ones that I showed you, this is a vertical planner, but also left to right rather than down, rather than horizontal, rather than going downwards, top to bottom. This is left to right, which is how we naturally read. And I thought, oh, all this time I didn't like vertical planners. Again, I've bought cheap generic vertical planners from Amazon. I've tried them, but because I was journaling, they weren't working. I wasn't really planning within them. Once I started to use this as planning, it made sense. It's like I can see my week progressing. You know, compared to the dashboard, this just was like, hallelujah. This was like an answer. Okay. Why didn't it work though? So it worked okay. I wouldn't say it didn't work. Now, I learned my lesson with the Hobo. So all this decoration happened after the fact. It happened after the week was over. So it was added on. It was the fun part to do and finish my week off. It was really, really nice. It's like a treat to finishing your week, you know. So the planning part was just done with writing. So that was fine. And this did help. If I had to write a newsletter, I would like draft the newsletter, send the newsletter, make the class live, my first payment to my teachers, finish editing or whatever. It was a big course that I do, that I've done twice now, in January, February, March. It runs for 3 months, but the preparation is like 4 months before that, and there's so much admin. There's 3 teachers that I invite to work with me. There is a lot, and I just do it on my own. So there is tons, and it was really helpful to be planning at this stage. Still not right though. I'm really just writing the main tasks that I need to do and keep everything else in my head. Like, I know if I like pay teachers is like really important. I need to pay the teachers, but there are steps to that. I need to work out the payments. I need to sit there with a calculator and do a heck a lot of maths. It's not pleasant. It takes me a couple of days, and I redo it and I triple do it just to make sure it's right. I want to make sure I'm paying everybody correctly. I have to consider things like taxes. I have to go into the 2 different apps for PayPal and for credit cards. So you don't need to know all that. But the point is, like, a simple thing like that, there's actually a lot of steps. And I'll come to all of that about the steps and everything. So it was telling me the main stuff to do, like priority for the day. It's almost, you know, this, do this, make sure this gets done, make sure this gets done. But not really helpful. I ended up using the middle one for appointments. Not completely useless. Like I said, my appointments really are in my digital calendar, so really I don't need them here. Somewhat useful though. So for instance, on this day, on a Thursday, one of the teachers' classes went live and the early bird pricing ended, and I had to promote. I mean, there's a lot of work involved around those 3 things. So that's what I mean by priorities, but the steps are not there. But I also had to go to the car mechanic, and I had to pick something up, and I had to finish some sort of report there. So that was a heck of a busy day. So it's useful to know these appointments are there on that day, so I can make sure I do this in time and fit it around that. So that, you know, it's not completely useless having there. But other things, it's like, I know on Wednesdays I take my kiddo to a certain thing, and on Monday I take my kiddo to a thing. Like, I don't really need to plan around that. Or there's a delivery, it's like, I'm home, it's going to be delivered. Okay, so I'm just sort of filling in my calendar. The bottom one ended up being sort of like a memory keeping thing, which is superfluous. I have memory keeping, I have my dailies, so it just doesn't need to happen, and just got put in there. So these are all things that are fun when you begin, but it ends up taking a lot of time and becomes overwhelming, or just bored, or it just doesn't work. So what I was doing was like, what if I use this to plan? And this is where I had a big aha moment, which is probably really straightforward and obvious to a lot of people in the planning community, but it was an enormous aha moment for me. And here it is, guys. That there is a difference between planning, as in the verb planning, and following your plan. So in other words, there is a difference between planning creation and planning following. Blew my mind. When I worked this out, I blew my own mind. Sitting down and planning, doing that, organizing your year ahead, your month ahead, your week ahead, your day ahead, whatever it is that you plan, is one way of doing it. One structure, one mind space you need to be in, one headspace you need to be in, one way of thinking, one type of organization, one type of system, or certain types of systems that will work for that. And then actually, after you've planned, following your plan and tweaking your plan as you go along, changing because plans change, that is a different mindset. So these 2 things have just, like I said, blown my mind and have made me think so differently now about my planners. I'm still in the process of processing this, so I haven't come up with anything amazing, but I have come up with a couple of things that I'm doing. So when it comes to planning creation, I thought to myself, what if I just put what I need to do in here and then transcribed it somewhere it was going to be even more functional for me. And I imagine so many people do this in the planner community. You can use a scrap bit of paper, you can use a notebook, you can use, say, a large calendar where you scribble things in and then transcribe. And yes, it's an extra step, but oh my goodness, it can be worth it. So why wasn't this quite functional for me? This task thing, these priorities versus breaking out into smaller chunks. So I have spoken in previous videos about ADHD, and the big aha moment I had with that was, well, it's not really my aha moment. Somebody else said it on a video, and it really changed my whole thinking, was about breaking things down into steps, into the smaller steps that makes sense to you, that is useful and functional to you. So for somebody, they may need one thing broken down in 2 steps. For somebody else, breaking it down in 10 could be what they need and what really makes sense. There's no right or wrong way. All our brains work differently, and you have to support your brain. You have to work with how your brain works, thinks, functions. For me, I think in big picture. I think I'm a big picture thinker. I think of a lot of details as well, but those details are the stuff that makes the overwhelm in my brain. They just swirl and swirl and swirl, and I never think of really getting them down. Other than brain dumps, I don't get them down in an efficient, functional way. I'm big picture, so I have to film this flip through. Great, film a flip through. That seems to be my to-do list. But there, like I said with the other things, the other items, there are steps to filming a flip through. There are things I need to prep maybe, or think about, or research, or get together, or after I film, I need to edit. I need to do a voiceover. I need to upload it. I need to maybe actually make it live. I need to write the post for it. There are so many little steps. When you think of anything that we do, there are all these small steps to do this bigger thing. And this changed my life when I started thinking, like, break things down into steps and you lose the overwhelm, rather than think clean my art space. That is enormous. That is an overwhelm for me, because my art space can get so intensely chaotic after some sessions. Don't think that. It's like tidy one drawer, or in the morning I'm going to wash all my stencils and wash all my brushes and leave it, do something else. In the afternoon I'm going to put the collage papers away, or even less than that, I'm going to put the collage papers that are down here on the floor away. That sort of thing. It becomes not only manageable and not overwhelming, so you don't procrastinate on doing it, which was the big thing for me about procrastinating, but it becomes manageable, it becomes doable, you become motivated to do it. It becomes just less an excuse not to get on with it and do it. I then brought that idea, this one small step and breaking things down into tasks, into small chunks, into my planners. So coming back to this, I thought, what if I use this to do basic planning? And then because I like this size for the planning creation. So I'm bringing these 2 big ideas together. The idea that there's a difference between planning creation and planning following, and the idea to break things down into the smaller steps that are useful to you. Together, these 2 things are, I feel, making me feel solid about planning now. So this format I love. I love the size. I love visually how I can see my week panning out a little better than I can with the Hobonichi. And I am coming back to the Hobonichi, but so bear with me how I'm talking about planning creation and planning following. So for creation, this is what I struggled with. I could create it, but it just wasn't, it just wasn't flowing. It was very forced. I knew that something had to be done and I will put it there. That is very different from this one, where I actually I visually can feel my week moving along and what needs to be done. I hope that makes sense, because that is so important, and I think it could really change the way you plan if you realize that these 2 things are different. And if they are incredibly different how your brain works, you might need 2 planners. It doesn't have to be an expensive planner. It doesn't have to be a fancy planner. It can be the cheapest generic planner on Amazon, or a cheap calendar, or anything like that, or a note paper and pad, if that works for you. But I love working in this one. I like seeing my week carry on like this. So this works for the planning creation. And I haven't done it yet, but I will be doing it in the weeks to come. The schedule and then the tasks that I need to do. But I'm going to switch that over. I realise what's better is to put this on the top. So this is the big things, the priorities, which makes sense. The tasks, the main tasks I need to do, and then I can break it down even more if I want to. So once I've done that, once my planning creation is done, which will be done here, then that will be amazing. Let me just say, just go over what I'm going to do here, so then I am clear and you are clear. So say here I'm going to post a reel on Nietzsche. So the day before I create the reel. These are the tasks that I need to create the reel. I could draft a post if it's going to be something more complicated that I need to do. So see all these tasks: film, edit, voiceover, cover photo, draft, and upload, draft a post. All this is just this one to do, create the reel. And then this post the reel just becomes easy because it's all done. That sounds maybe really obvious to people in the planning community or people who've been planning for a long time. But to me, this breaking it down this much just seemed obvious, and it seemed just like writing something in a planner for writing's sake. Like, I know I have to create the reel. I know the steps to it. That's all well and good. But here's what happens. The way I work, which is eclectically and chaotically all over the place. I get things done, but it's all over the place. But what happens is maybe it's in the morning or maybe it's in the afternoon. I'll find time to film it. And I'll come back probably later to edit it, and I'll do the voiceover and all blah blah blah, and so many things will get ticked off. Okay, and then I'll go do 10 other things and I'll forget about it, and somewhere in my head I've done it and it's ready to post the next day. Or now it's in my head, post a reel, post a reel, post a reel. Like, it's in my head. I don't even have to look at my planner because I know I'm going to be doing this, right? I come to post the reel, or let's say a YouTube video, because it takes more, and which it happened last week, and I realized I haven't done the cover photo for it. So now, and I want to post by 10:30, which is my time that I post, and it's like now I'm rushing to get this cover photo done because I hadn't done it. Whereas if I've got cover photo here and it's not marked off, I can see that it's not marked off, and then I go, oh, I've got to get that done, because literally I see it half an hour before I'm going to post that I haven't completed something. This is obvious in many ways. This is what a to-do list is for, but it wasn't obvious for me. For me, to-do list was this. This is the to-do, and I just didn't think of the small tasks, and because I know, like I said, it seemed obvious to me. It seemed superfluous. It's like, why write all these details down? I don't need to know how to wash a bathroom. I just need to know wash the bathroom. But maybe I do. Maybe I have to order, the week before some cleaning products, or maybe like if I'm a real procrastinator, it's like the night before, get the cleaning products out the night before. So then when you come to clean the bathroom, there is no procrastination happening. I wouldn't say nothing. There's always something you can procrastinate before cleaning a bathroom, but you've got the stuff out, you've got your scrubbing brush, you've got your products, you're ready. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like getting those tasks done the day before means when you come to do your actual to-do list, you're ready, it's done. I know it seems obvious. I know it just wasn't to me. Breaking it down this much wasn't obvious to me. So I know this is getting long. This is probably good. I'm not sure how long I've been going on for, but hopefully this is helpful to someone. I know there are more advanced and knowledgeable people in the planner community who have amazing videos, but hey, you might be here and watching and this might just resonate with you. So, and it helped me. So that's what we do. We share, don't we? What's working for us. Okay, so the planning creation is working in this book, in this planner. I think I'm going to keep using this to actually do the planning creation, to plan my week ahead, to break everything down and to see what I need to do beforehand to get it done. And then the second part, the planning following. And that's where I know that, I don't know, I believe the Hobonichi weeks will work for me, because although this is great to follow because it's nice and neat, like I have 3 very separate sections, so my to-dos aren't going to get mixed up with all these messy tasks and lists that are going on here. I have a couple of issues that I see is happening. One, I don't have a lot of room for tasks. So if I have 2 tasks or, things that are coming up and I want to get done on this Wednesday, this is the only space I have. I don't want to go to a larger planner. So for planning creation, I don't mind. I could just use a notebook and then I'm going to transcribe things. But for planning following, this now is like, if that's all I can put in there and I need to know more tasks, then I've got nowhere to put them. And as I said, I don't want to go bigger. I love this format. I don't want a large planner. For you, if you can get the vertical in this size, then that might be what would work for you. That somehow it makes even more sense. Somehow top to bottom is now that I've cleared this up, this feels really nice. I also want something a little bit more, what would be functional for me would be something small and something I could just quickly look in, and it just maybe not have all that craziness going on, because I really just want to be loose and free and rub things out, and because I'm planning creation. So planning following. Okay, I tried colour. I saw already that my brain, as much as I love colour, this was too much. This was getting too busy for me already. Which is incredible to me because I love busy. More is more to me. I'm not a minimalist. But this was too much already. So, okay, I could stick with black. But just seeing these 3 dots and these 3 places to post was really, really nice. So I knew straight away, okay, this is going to work for me. I'm just going to cover this so it's not overwhelming and we can just see this. So look how minimalist I am. So I have marked that line so it's much clearer. And what I have here, so you can see things are rubbed off and it's a mess because I am just trying things out. So I realized this is my schedule. Nice and easy. I have here post, YouTube, post. And I know what that means. I know post is Instagram and I know YouTube is YouTube. That's it. If I say reel, I know a reel is Instagram. The color coding, really simple. Pink is my autumn moon art and yellow is my autumn lychee. Super easy, really easy, love it. In my second part, I've written here tasks, but I think I'm going to write, and I've gone from to do to task, but I believe I'm going to go back. This is more like to do. Much like I said for this one here, I'm breaking down, these are all the small steps to do that task, and that task becomes part of that schedule. So the hierarchy is the schedule, the to-do, and then the tasks. You could also call something a task, an item, whatever works for you. So to do, I've got here, I just wrote photos, but more specific, I'll write something like create reel or film reel, film YouTube. I've got here create reel. So I know that day I need to make a video live. So these are my very umbrella to-do tasks, the main thing, sort of almost like the project and the main thing that I need to do. Film, edit, that sort of thing, take photos. These are to-do things. So on my left side then, so you can see I was practicing and trying all sorts of things. I came upon the Alistair method. Obviously I'm old to it. It's been around for some time now. And I tried the Alistair method out. It took some thinking to see how I was going to do it. After a couple of days of doing this, I just thought, what do I not like about this? Here I have priority. This is really nice for a quick visual just to see. And again, although we left to right, I am a person that sees this page first. So my priorities are a bit like I was doing originally with to-dos. This sort of thing is sort of like this, but less personal things. So this tells me very quickly in my head, I need to make 1 video, 1 reel. I need to post on each post. This is like my basics, like 2 posts, 1 video, whatever it is that I do. I can very quickly mark it off. I can just see it's done. The marking off, I think, is really visually for me. And you can see I had that idea up here. I started to mark them off on the side, and all that you can see there is just something about having things marked off and having things open and clear like this, especially if you use something dark. Anything that's like white, it stands out that it needs doing. White thing just stands out in your brain, in your eyes, brain reading, how your brain reads. Mine reads color and visually like that. So seeing things that are not marked off, I can highlight it or crossed out or whatever. I can see very, very quickly that that thing still needs doing. Okay, I need to wrap this up. I don't know how long I've gone for, but I hope it's been of use to somebody out there. Please do like and subscribe if you have enjoyed, even if you know all this and you have enjoyed listening to me ramble on anyway. But even it's not about you doing it how I do it. It's not about using the planners that I'm using, but about you having those concepts of how you have to understand what it is you really need to know and what is really functional for you. But it's finding your way of doing things, but having that understanding that planning creation and planning following are two different things, and you might be able to do it in one book, in one journal, or you might need or planner, or you might need two, or you might need a scrapbook, whatever it is. Not scrapbook, sorry, a notepad. Having that concept and having the concept of breaking down tasks and really breaking them down to whatever works for you. Oh, thank you so much for being here. Bye. See you in the next one.